Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bianca. If you're new, welcome. Today we'll be doing a book tag. So this will be the mid-year book freak out tag. I'm really freaking out because I have so many books left on my top 21 to read in 2021. I think I've only just read one book off that list and there are 20 more. So really freaking out at this point. So I will leave the person who started this their video down below. I have seen a lot of booktubers doing this video recently. I think the most recent one I saw was Alexandra Rosalind do this. Jaleesa did this. I'll have their channels listed down below or up above. Mel Reeds did this. So I have the prompts right here. Let's get down to it. Number one is the best book you've read so far in 2021. This is a book I've mentioned so many times on my channel that you're all probably tired of it, but I have not read that many books. I believe it's like right around like 20-25 books so far this year, but the best one I read was From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I love this book. I cannot tell you how much I love this book. This follows Poppy, who is the maiden for a society called the Ascended, which includes those who are ascended and those who are not. So the thought is she's so special, she's blessed by the gods that no one can see, no one can look at her face, no one can talk to her. She has around the clock guards. She cannot do anything by herself, and if she steps a foot out of line, she's punished. And then enter Hawk, who comes in to be one of her guards, and her whole view changes. He accepts her for who she is, and not just because she's the maiden. And that's something that has never happened to her before. Even her best friend was assigned to her because she was the maiden. I go on a really long rant about this book in what is it? One of my most recent videos. I'll put a tag for it, but I love this book and I'm currently rereading it. So I'm almost finished with it. I'm on page 448 and cannot wait. The next question is best sequel you've read so far in 2021. This question drew me up on a draw because I think I've read only a few sequels, and then two of them pop into my head as the best. The first one I have up on my bookshelf, and that is Namesake by Adrienne Young, and this is the sequel to Fable. It is also the end of that duology. And I loved it. I read this book in like 24 hours. I could not put it down. This obviously follows Fable from the first book. Not going to tell you too much about the second because I don't want to spoil it, but the first book, Fable, her mother's died in a tragic shipwreck, and her father drops her on this island and says, if you can get off this island and return to me, I will give you what you most desire. So she spends 4 years of her life trying to get off this island. And when she finally does, she sets off on this quest to find her father and get what she thinks she deserves. And I mean, this is great. It's got pirates. It's got kind of magic. Maybe more of like an ingrained talent. A lot of action. It's got some romance in there. It is so cute and I love it. And it was one of my favorite books for this year. And the second sequel is probably not that surprising. It's A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So this is the sequel to From Blood and Ash. I think I actually mentioned this series a lot in this video doing this tag. But so this follows Poppy again, and this is just her continuing journey with Hawk as she learns more about herself and who she really is. And I love it. I cannot wait to pick this up again. I mean, I finished From Blood and Ash and A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire in January, and I'm already rereading them. So that just tells you how much I love the series. I could not wait to pick it back up. So there's that. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to. The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the third book in the From Blood and Ash series, and I cannot wait to pick it up. I have not heard anything. I have not looked at any videos about anybody reading this book because I do not want to be spoiled, and I am so excited. I cannot wait. The second book left on a cliffhanger, and it sent me into such a deep reading slump that I can't even say, but I cannot wait to pick this up. So that is the new release I haven't read yet, but cannot wait to. Number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I did 3. I took an adult novel, I did a young adult novel, and I did a middle grade. So the YA that I cannot wait to be released is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. This book sounds so interesting. It comes out October 5th of this year, and let's just read this. The dead of Laurel do not rest. Artemisia is training to be a Grey Sister, a nun who cleanses the bodies of the deceased so that their souls can pass on. Otherwise, they will rise as spirits with a ravenous hunger for the living. She would rather deal with the dead than the living, who trade whispers about her scarred hands and troubled past. When her convent is attacked by possessed soldiers, Artemisia defends it by awakening an ancient spirit bound to a saint's relic. It is a revenant, a malevolent being that threatens to possess her the moment she drops her guard. Wielding its extraordinary power almost consumes her, but death has come to Laurel, and only a Vespertine, a priestess changed to wield a high relic, has any chance of stopping it. With all knowledge of Vespertine's lost to time, Artemisia turns to the last remaining expert for help, the Revenant itself. As she unravels the sinister mystery of saints, secrets, and dark magic, her bond with the Revenant grows. And when a hidden evil begins to surface, she discovers that facing this enemy might require her to betray everything she's been taught to believe, if the Revenant doesn't betray her first. I can't. That just sounds so good, so interesting, and I loved Margaret Rogerson's An Enchantment of Ravens, which some people didn't like, but I liked it. It was a good read. It was enjoyable. Also, Sorcery of Thorns was another one of my favorites by Margaret Rogerson, and so I cannot wait to get to this one. I'm very excited to see where it goes. So the next book is an adult read. This is not an adult read. This is an adult novel. It's an adult romance, and it is The Royals Next Door by Karina Hale. Karina Hale, I first read her books. I read the first book by her in January of this year, and that was A Nordic King. And since I read it, I've loved that book, so I want to pick up more by her. So this one, just gonna read the description off Goodreads. An ordinary summer goes royally awry when a prince and princess move next door, bringing their handsome bodyguard with them. Piper Evans, elementary school teacher by day, avid romance reader, and anonymous podcaster by night. She lives a quiet, reclusive life, taking care of her mother, who struggles with mental illness, avoiding her regrettable ex, who bartends in town, and trying to make inroads in the tight-knit island community that still sees her, 5 years in, as an outsider. And she's happy with how things are. Really. Until British royals rent the property next to hers, and their brooding bodyguard decides she's a security threat. Piper quickly realizes that one person's fairy tale is an ordinary woman's nightmare as a media frenzy takes over the island, and each run-in with Harrison Cole is hotter and more confusing than the last. But beneath Harrison's no-nonsense exterior lies a soft heart, one that could tempt a woman who's sworn off attachments into believing in white knights. But when Piper finds herself smack in the middle of a royal scandal that rocks the island, she'll need more than Harrison's strong arms to shield her. She'll have to do a little rescuing herself. With careers, hearts, and friendships on the line, Piper and Harrison will have to decide what they're willing to give up for a chance at their own happily ever after. I am so excited. So this comes out in August 31st of this year, and it sounds so good. And Karina Hale is like the queen of steamy scenes, and I can just tell that one's gonna have some good ones. And then my final and most anticipated release for the second half of the year is a middle grade, and this is Once Upon a Tide, A Mermaid's Tale by Stephanie Kate Strum. This is set to come out September 14th of this year, and it sounds adorable. So this is about Princess Lana, who is the youngest ambassador ever to represent her underwater kingdom, Claren, at the royal festival on land. And even though it means trading her mermaid tail for a clumsy pair of legs, and worse, spending a week with her mother, who chose life on land over her children 7 years ago, Lana can't wait to prove her political chops. But once on shore, nothing goes as planned. The children of visiting dignitaries spread nasty rumors about Lana and her brother, eavesdropping on human thoughts just because they can communicate telepathically underwater. Never mind that their powers don't work on land. Lana's mom is wrapped up in the king of a neighboring kingdom, who turns out to be her new boyfriend. And despite her ambassador status, no one will let Lana near a single important negotiation or meeting. So the next one is Biggest Disappointment. I haven't really been disappointed about anything I've read this year, mostly because I know what I'm interested in and I tend to stick to what I'm interested in. But I'd probably say my biggest disappointment has probably been Pride by A.B. Zavoy, and I will preface this by saying it is purely because I had to read this book for school. I'm sure that if I pick this book up when I wasn't required to read it for a class, I would have loved it. But because I had to pick it up for school, it wasn't something I was interested in, and I didn't want to read it. But I do plan to pick it up again later after I've put this past term out of my head and I've let all the stress go. I do want to pick it up and read it because what I've read I enjoyed, but because I had to read it for school, I didn't enjoy it as much as I think I would have. So the reason it is a disappointment is purely because I had to read it for school. That's it. Don't come for me. Biggest surprise. The answer to that question will not be a surprise, but the biggest surprise for me was how much I loved From Blood and Ash. This book was hyped so much. I saw so many booktubers mentioning how much they loved it, and I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as they seem to, and I feel like I love it more. So this was definitely my biggest surprise. I did not see myself enjoying this book as much as I do, but here I am. So 7, favorite new fictional author. For this one, I'll say I have 2. Jennifer L. Armentrout, I've read From Blood and Ash in January. That was the first book of hers I read, and there's that. The next one would probably have to be Karina Hale. After reading A Nordic King by her, I went out and I got a bunch of her other books. So the ones I have are Love Wrecked. I also got The Swedish Prince and The Wild Heir. So I would probably have to say she is one of my new favorite fictional authors. And then I have Black Sunshine, which I plan to read in the month of July. So very much looking forward to that. The next one, newish fictional crush. Probably Hawk from Blood and Ash. And his friend Kieran. Hawk and Kieran from Blood and Ash, they just sound so smexy. Yes, just yes. Newest favorite character. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. Poppy from Blood and Ash. She just seems like such a strong woman. She, even though she was forced into this life of being a maiden and having every moment of her life controlled, she still found those bits where she could just step out and disobey the rules and just be who she wanted to be. And I loved that. Diana from the All Souls trilogy. She's so smart. She is a professor at Oxford. She's a witch. She's a really strong character, and I love her. A book that made you cry. This is going to be a surprising one. I cry a lot in books. I'm really, really emotional. If there is a sad moment, I will have tears in my eyes. I've never read a book that's actually made me bawl and be unable to stop. I will cry through a scene, and then when it's over, I will stop crying and I'm fine. But I cried reading Go the Distance by Jen Kalanita. This follows Meg after Hercules is over, and explores what would happen if Meg were to become a Greek god. Just her life. We don't get a lot of glimpses into Meg's life prior to meeting Hercules, other than she's working for Hades because she's paying off a debt she owes Hades because Hades saved the love of her life, and then he ends up running off with someone else. There was so much more to explore behind her life, and this book does an amazing job of exploring that and exploring the struggles that Meg goes through as she's trying to complete this trial to become a Greek god, as she decides whether she actually loves Hercules enough to do this. And it made me cry. A book that made you happy. A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. There were so many points in this book where I had a smile on my face. I could not stop, or I was laughing at something that happened. I enjoyed rereading this book so much. So this book makes me really happy. The most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. I have a Fairy Loot subscription, and as a result, I have a lot of beautiful books that I love. So I will show a few of those, and then I'm going to show a few that I bought that I just think their covers are gorgeous. So from Fairy Loot, I have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco, and it has these gorgeous sprayed edges and beautiful foiled cover. And the cover's different. It's gorgeous. I also have The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This is just gorgeous. Also, again, foiled cover, beautiful. So another gorgeous book. Then I also have Lore by Alexandra Bracken. Just gorgeous cover, spine, back cover, and then so another book that I love the cover of. This is not a special edition. This is not a Fairy Loot. This is just a regular release cover. This is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin, which is another one I read and loved this year. I just finished this. So this cover is beautiful in and of itself, but also the hardcover has all these beautiful flowers and butterflies, and I love it. It's beautiful, and it goes perfectly with the story. And then the next book I have is an Owl Crate special edition. So this is Bonecryer's Dawn by Catherine Purdy, and it has this beautiful exclusive cover, gorgeous silver sprayed edges, matches perfectly with the Owl Crate edition of Bonecryer's Moon, and it is also signed like all the other Fairy Loot editions also. And then the final one, I have a lot of pretty books that I bought this year. The final one is Unchosen by Catherine Blair. This cover is gorgeous. This book was on my most anticipated releases of the year, and it was a pure cover choice. But, well, the cover drew me in, and then I loved what the story was, but this was just gorgeous. So those were the beautiful books that I've gotten this year, so far this year. And then, oh boy, the final question: what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Oh, I have so many. pull out my bullet journal. Let's go check out my 2021 book, top 21 books to read in 2021. So I do have a top 21 books to read in 2021 video that I just put up. It is really late and I've still only read one book off of it, but I will have that listed up above. So the books on my top 21 books to read in 2021 include Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which I plan to get to in the month of July. Then From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I read. This Is My America by Kim Johnson. Have not read it. Legend Born by Tracy Dion. Started it. Have not finished it. Rebel Rose by Emma Thorold. Have not read it. Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretta. Also have not read it. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Have not read it. Bonecryer's Moon by Catherine Purdy. Have not read it. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Have not read it. Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. Have not read it. We'll just go with this. I haven't read any of the rest of them either. So Becoming by Michelle Obama. A Promised Land by Barack Obama. These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, which I plan to read in the month of July. House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. White Fragility. You guys, you want to know the rest of them, read them, watch my video. And then I have a bunch of my most anticipated releases, which includes Unchosen, which I just showed you. Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. And then I have The Castle School for Troubled Girls by Alicia Schmiel. Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. So many. Isn't It Romantic by Lissa K. Adams, which is another one that I'm really looking forward to coming out this year. It's coming out in the second half. Really looking forward to that. XOXO by Axio. To Sir with Love by Lauren Lane. There's so many, and I am not going to get to all of them, but there are so many books that I still want to get to and need to read by the end of this year, and that's where my freak out comes from, is from the amount of books I have to read by the end of the year, or I want to read. I don't have to read. I love to read. It's something I enjoy doing, and definitely something I want to keep enjoying. So I don't have to read them. I want to read them by the end of the year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As you can see, I have a reason to freak out. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. I will leave all of the books I mentioned down below, along with the video that made me want to film this. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.